My name is Vinny Lamovic, and we'll be taking you through a new product we're working on here at EAC called DigiGuide. But before I get into the meat and potatoes of what that entails, I would like to spend just a couple minutes talking more about who EAC is and what we do for those of you that might not already be familiar. So our mission here is to transform the way that companies design, manufacture, connect to, and service their products. Now, some of you that have worked with us for many years have probably heard this before. Some of you might be wondering, okay, what does that mean? Well, what it means is that everything that we do to help companies build better products is connected throughout both our organization and yours. We don't like to see ourselves as just another value-added software reseller. We like to see ourselves more of a highly trusted business consultant. And if you just look at all the areas where we're capable of providing support, being Platinum PTC partners and Formlabs partners as well. On the engineering side, we've got a full staff of engineers that can assist with product development consulting or any other questions that might arise as you're trying to get new designs out the door. We also have a full implementation staff that is ready to come on site or virtually, if you prefer, these days to ensure that your PLM launch is nothing short of successful. We're headquartered in Minneapolis, but we are spread throughout the country to ensure that we will always have someone local that you can count on in a pinch when you need them. Now, I want to talk more about why we are here today. We had one of our larger aviation customers approach us with some problems that they were having with their documentation of product data and work instructions. They were PTC Arbortex customers, and they had around 1,000 service manuals on 100 aircraft models spread out over the last 20 years. I don't think you need to do any bar napkin math to see that that is a mountain of product data and work instructions that they had being sourced into XML and then published to PDF and paper and then distributed throughout the organization. You put all those things together and you have a recipe for endless redundancies, inefficiencies, and countless hours of time spent on things other than the task at hand. Some examples of this were things like having to print and retrieve work instructions prior to starting work, stopping your work to review service procedures, illustrations, and then print cross-reference procedures and steps, and then being unable to monitor your work in progress and electronically record progress at the step level. You can only imagine what these problems did to their efficiency. I have a headache just reading them out loud here. So what they did is they approached us with a challenge to help them, and they summed it up in 4 questions. How can we make work instructions for service more relevant and accessible? How can we help them improve cross-referenced service procedures? Can we digitally transform work instructions without reauthoring, restyling, or republishing? And could we leverage mobile displays, wearable displays, and assisted reality so that people could connect and reuse their existing TechPub content? We presented these questions and this challenge to our R&D team, and they came back to us with DigiGuide, a 21st century TechPub access tool that enables technicians and workers to access their entire technical publications library with just a few taps on a tablet or a smartphone. All of the XML data is sourced from Windchill or another CMS with no restyling or reauthoring required. Each procedure is broken down step by step, and you can look at the graphics side by side while recording your completion of steps and procedures as you go through your tasks. Now, to get more into the details and showcase the product a little bit, I'm going to turn things over to our solutions architect, Clay Helberg.
Welcome everybody. Now I'm going to show you a little demo of how the product works. So the set of work instructions that we're working with today is the sample set that comes with the S1000D specification. So we fully support S1000D issue 4.1. We also have in the works support for data instructions, and we have a nice plugin system that will let us adapt to essentially any doc type. If you have a custom doc type or some other doc type that you would like to support, we can build an adapter that will read it and interpret it. So I'm going to start out with the basic workflow that a technician would go through. So a technician would start up the app on their device. So what you see on the screen is a mirror of my actual physical device that I'm holding in my hand. And the technician is going to start, they're going to have a work order, and the work order will have a QR code on it. The QR code indicates the work order ID and the content ID. So essentially is a pointer to the procedure that they're going to work on today. And all they have to do is hit the scan button, and then they scan the QR code on their work order, and it loads up all the information they need to get started. So then you hit the go button, and you can see that it's going to lay this out for me in a nice format for my small device screen. You can see on the left we have instructions, on the right we have the graphics, and so this procedure has 5 graphics associated with it. I have tabs I can use to switch between the graphics, and it also tracks which graphic goes with which step. So you'll see as I progress through the steps, it will switch graphics to keep the graphics in sync. So the beginning screen is some preamble, some preconditions for the procedure. So I can scroll through this. I have my caution there at the bottom. And now we go to the first step, and here it is. So the first step includes a cross-reference. So when I read this step, if I'm an older experienced technician, I probably already know what's involved in removing the rear wheel, so I can just proceed straight away. If I'm newer or I'm a trainee, I may need a little more detail about that. So I can tap this cross-reference, and it will take me to the reference procedure, and I'll be able to see, oh, okay, so to remove the rear wheel, I have to go through these steps. So I can go through that. When I'm done, I hit exit, and it takes me back to where I was in the original procedure. So I have quick, easy access to related material that I might need to help complete the task. So as I proceed through the steps, I'm going to hit the sign button. When I hit sign, I'm attesting to the fact that I did that step according to the instructions, and that is going to be recorded. So as I go through the procedure, it's going to show me each step, one step at a time. And as I go through, you can see now on this step, I need to see a different image, and the image comes up on the right. The images correspond to all the usual gestures, so I can zoom in with a pinching motion. I can pan it by dragging it. If I want to see a larger version of it, I can hit the expand button, and now I have the full screen to use to zoom in on that graphic. So I proceed through the rest of the procedure. We also have a text-to-speech feature, so if you want to have the instructions read to you aloud, you can tap the speaker, and it will actually read the instructions to you.
Push with your thumbs from the center of the patch to the outer part of the applied area. Apply pressure to tube.
Okay, so that is a way to have it be describing the step to you. So if you want to have your eyes on the equipment while it's describing the step, you have that option. And then we proceed through the rest of the sequence. And when we get to the end, it's going to tell me, okay, you did the procedure, it took this long, and I say, okay. And now it sends that data up to the cloud server, so that data about the timing of the steps and how long each step took and who did the procedure and when it was done, that's all recorded in a database. And so the company has access to that, and your organization can use that to ensure compliance and to do analysis and to do some predictive analytics, if you like, to try to optimize your service procedures, identify bottlenecks, and so on. Another feature to show is that we have support for conditional content, or what's sometimes known as applicability. So you may have a procedure where certain steps only apply to certain models or under certain conditions, and that those conditions are indicated in the markup of your document, so that you can apply filtering to show only the instructions that are relevant for the conditions or the equipment that are being worked on. And we fully support this, so I'm going to demonstrate this very quickly. I'm going to scan a new code, and this is going to load up a procedure for washing the bike. but there are going to be some different steps depending on which model of bike you're working on. So when we load the content, we detect that there is conditional content in this procedure, and we ask the user to indicate which thing they're working on. So they can specify which model, and then we adapt the procedure, and we only show the content that's relevant for that particular model. So you can see we have some warnings and some cautions, and then we can begin. And these are the steps that are relevant for that model that we selected at the beginning. One of the other features that customers mentioned to us is that they need to be able to use this offline. And because sometimes their technicians have to be out in the middle of a field repairing a tractor, say, or they need to be underground repairing some mining equipment. So there are various locations where you might need to do service and not have a network available. So we fully support that. Because of the nature of the webinar, it's hard for me to demonstrate it because as soon as I take my device offline, then you can't see it anymore. But we do support downloading the content onto the device, and then you can go out into the field where you have no network, and you will still have full access to all of the content, including the graphics and videos and so on. And the step data, the compliance data that's being recorded as you go through the sequence is stored locally on the device. And then when you come back to the office and you're back on the network, you can upload that data and it will be stored just as it would have been if you were doing it offline. Or I'm sorry, if you were doing it online. We support localization. So if this is the only language we have so far. We support localization of the interface as well as content. So if you need to switch languages, it's very easy to do with our application. I don't speak Russian, so I'm going to switch back to English right away. Let's see, other features that are interesting. I need to show the support for video. So I'm going to scan a different work order. And this one is going to have a video link in it. So I'm going to step through the procedure. And here we have a video link. So I can tap this. It's going to download the video and then play it. And again, this video is downloadable as well. So if we decide to take this procedure offline so I can go work remotely with it, it will include pre-downloading this video so that the video is available offline when I'm out in the field. We have the ability to suspend and resume a procedure. So if you are working on a procedure and you get to the end of your shift and it's time for you to put it to bed and pick it up again in the morning, you can hit suspend. And that will record the fact of what you've done so far, the fact that you suspended it at that time. And then the next time you scan it, it remembers that you have this suspended. You can say resume, and it will bring you back to where you were, and you can finish the procedure. And then it will store that information, including the fact that it was suspended and the timestamps for the suspension. So all of that data is recorded and can be used for planning purposes. So those are the features of the app. It has full documentation included with it. So you can, every page has a help button that you can use if you get stuck and you're not quite sure what to do. And it shows you, it gives you explanations of what the controls are and how to use them. And now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and I'm going to show you what it looks like from the server side. So when you set up DigiGuide, you will get a cloud server, and that is where your content will be staged. So we will pull the content from your CMS, or your CMS can push it to the cloud server, whichever works best for your workflow. So we can tie into workflows, into formal workflows. So for example, you can set up a system where every time a document is checked in, it gets pushed to the cloud so that it's ready for distribution. From the dashboard here, this is where your administrator would connect to that cloud server and access the data that we've been collecting. So you can see the tracking data by technician. So these are the list of technicians who've done work. So you can select these and you can see these are all the procedures that technician 2 has done. And if you want to zoom in on a particular one, you can click on this and it will give you the detailed step data. So this indicates how much time was spent on each particular step in the procedure. So you can see if there are any outliers of steps that take much longer than other steps, and try to see what sort of issue may have caused that. You can also switch to a procedure view. So this shows the view by procedure. So this is all the instances of this 720A procedure, which in this data set is installing a fork for the front of the bike. And you can see all of the instances of technicians who've done this. And at the bottom, it gives some summary data. So this includes the minimum time, the average time, and the maximum time for each step. So you can see if there are some steps where the average, so for example, step 3 has a fairly low average time, but there is at least one instance where it took quite a long time. And so you can try to determine what was the cause of that, what was unique about that situation. We also have, you have your ability to manage users, so you can add and delete and modify users here. You have access to your content repository. So this is the mirror of your content that is pulled or pushed from your CMS. So you can see what you have here. So this can help you identify issues if somebody's having a problem downloading a certain procedure content. You can take a look at the file here and see if there's something wrong with it. If you need to do a quick manual update of something, there was some sort of error that accidentally got published and you need to fix it, you can easily update the file this way. You can access the server log so you can see if there are any issues, if somebody's having problems with authentication or some other issue, you can access that and troubleshoot. You can see the configuration summary. So this is where you set up the configuration of the app, and by filling in these fields, you can create a configuration that's encapsulated in this QR code. This QR code you can give to your technicians, and then they can use it to scan when they first set up the app on their device, and it will automatically set these options for them, so they don't have to type anything in manually. They just scan the code and they're good to go. And finally, you can check your license information. So this gives you the version number and your license. So this can help you troubleshoot if you're having any issues with licensing. So that's the basic overview of the application. So this is a way that you can take your existing content that you've been using to publish PDFs or print manuals. You can take that same information without having to make any modifications to it and bring it into the 21st century, put it in the hands of your technicians on the spot, where and when they need it, in a format that's going to be ideal for them as they work through the procedure, and also provide tracking and data management for the procedures and the timing, and to help you with compliance and optimization. So that's all I have. I'll send it back to you, Vinny.
Great stuff, Clay. Like he said, it's a brand new product. We are extremely excited to be showing this to our customers, and just start getting this in front of as many people as we can to, like Clay said at the end, couldn't have put it better myself, bringing people into the 21st century. I don't see any questions popping up in the queue at the moment. So while we're saying that, you can just see both Clay's and my email addresses right there. If anybody has questions or wants to talk about anything that we showed you guys here today, please do not hesitate to reach out. Like I said, we're very excited about this new product and would love to talk to you about it if you have questions. So with that, I think we can conclude for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time, and we will see y'all next time.